Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, really glad you joined us. Hope you like what you hear. Our podcast guest today is named Shahada Karim. She is a yoga teacher, and I'm sure that when I say that she's a yoga teacher, it conjures up visions or thoughts of how she is and how she approaches life. And I can guarantee you that you're wrong. uh, Super high energy, super well educated, used to be in journalism, has transitioned into health and wellness, has a super interesting background from her family, her mother and her father, and the way she was raised and the different things they brought to the table. She at one point was a classic rock DJ. Super interesting. She also has and runs a couple of wellness businesses, and she's going to talk about those on the podcast. But more importantly, I really want you to pay attention to the thought process that she's coaching and how she's teaching you to think about life. Because I think to me, that's where the real value comes from. Her products and services are great. We're not saying don't check them out. We're not saying don't buy them. But the value here is in her, and we want to expose you to that. And so, without further ado, let's bring Shahada on right now. So, Shahada, welcome to Salty Ginger Talk. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Shahada and I had a great conversation a little over a month ago now, and I can guarantee you that she is going to completely destroy the stereotypes of the health, wellness, and yoga uh, teachers and gurus that you have in your head, because she is all the things I just mentioned. But her approach, I love, and you're going to love it too. And she's going to share it with us as we kind of go through her whole story and her business. Really excited about, I've been super excited about having you on. And what we usually do is just have our guests start off with a little bit of background. How'd you grow up? Talk about going out in the adult world and kind of the highlights of how you got from where you were to where you are. And then we go back and do a deep dive on all the fun stuff.
Okay, so I was born on the East Coast, so I'm originally from New York. I came up in a distinctly Afro-Indigenous space.
Hmm.
So my father's African American, my mother's Indigenous, and I got both sides of that experience, and I don't know that I appreciated both sides of the experience until I grew up. So my mother's very much Earth Mother. She's very much a person who believes in teas and tinctures and poultices and things. And my father, who's from Chicago, was like, just take her to the doctor. Like, why are we hemming and hawing about something that's going to take 3 days when we just take her to the doctor and get a pill and she'll be fine in 10 minutes? So I grew up in this interesting contrast. And I am very much a daddy's girl. I'm the eldest child. I'm very much a daddy's girl, but I grew up to be exactly like my mother.
Hmm.
It took me a long time to get to that space. I had to do all of the secular things because I grew up spiritually. So in true teenage rebelliousness, I went secular the second I could. The second I moved out, the second I went to college, I was like, I don't believe in anything. I wasn't agnostic. I wasn't anything because I grew up in this very harmonious spiritual space. And I was like, I'm throwing all that out of the window, right? And as a matter of fact, this ties into a conversation I literally had 24 hours ago with my husband about Ozzy Osbourne and about how I would listen to metal. And like I went completely secular. I was like, I want all of the death and destruction. I want all of the things that my mom was like, oh no, we're just going to live in harmony. I'm like, nope, screw harmony. I'm going to do what I want. Right. Took me a long time to make this full circle where now I'm a lot like she probably intended me to be, but I came into it naturally. 100 years later, literally, I'm 51. I didn't come into any kind of spiritual feelings until my early to mid 30s, even acknowledging that, oh, this might be a thing. I was so against it because you typically tend to rebel against the things that your parents and your community tell you are important. And I was like, no, I don't care about any of that. Right. Because there has to be another way. The really interesting thing is that the more I learned that I didn't know anything. And I found out how much connectivity there is and how alike we really are. I was so busy running away from any type of harmony that it took me decades to come back around to, oh, my mom actually knew what she was talking about. You know? And now I have to say, I'm so sorry. I was so awful. My 20s, I was terrible. You know, I sort of kind of grew up in my 30s, but not really. And it was about I wouldn't say between like 32 and 33, I finally was like, well, she might have been onto something. Maybe I should do a little bit more research. Maybe I should learn a little bit more. And that's really what sent me back into the yoga space because my mother practiced. So I was just like, you know, screw all of this stuff that you're talking about and that you're doing. And then I was like, oh, maybe I want to try to like see what she was talking about. And I ended up at a yoga class in the gym and couldn't do anything that the teacher could do, even though she had about 15 years on me. And I was very competitive and very athletic, and I could barely do a forward fold. And I was so offended by all of it. I was offended by my abilities. I was offended by my body. I didn't understand what was going on. I had zero awareness. And I didn't know that I had zero awareness. I thought, you know, I can bench my body weight. Like, what else is there to be aware of? I was running 10 miles a day. I was insane. And then she was like, oh, just bend forward. And I couldn't bend forward. And that personal challenge. I was like, okay, I need to learn how to do this. I need to figure this out. I need to go back. And that was a phone call with my mother with an apology. Like, okay, like, I don't know what's happening in my body. I thought I could do anything because you feel invincible. You're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you feel invincible. You think you can do anything. And this woman in her 40s was like, fold forward. And I could not. So I started learning.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love you talking about as I learned stuff, I realized I didn't know anything. I say that. So I'm 53. I'm a couple years ahead of you. And I tell people a lot. It's too bad you didn't know me when I was 20 because I was so smart when I was 20. I knew everything. And you didn't have to
Everything.
ask me. Yeah, you didn't have to. I would just tell you I knew everything. You didn't have to
Yep.
ask. I would volunteer it. And it turns out I've gotten a lot dumber over the years because I'm 53 now and I don't know shit. And all
Really
sorts of
bad.
people.
I'm
Right.
gonna just confess because what's really bad is I also my original career, and I still am to this day, but I went to school for and interned as and became a journalist.
Mm.
So you couple me, just my personality, my A plus 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 personality, with now working in an information center. You can talk to me. You can see me on your best day. I knew everything. I knew just enough about everything to be really dangerous.
Yeah, it's called, and I fall in it too. So I always say I don't throw stones because I live in a glass house. But it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And when you're around something and you know tangentially information about things, you think one, you're good at it, and two, you're an expert on it. And neither of which is true.
Right.
And it's funny because the things that I feel like I really know a lot about that people will ask me questions about. Like I'm a really good negotiator because I've negotiated literally thousands of things in my life. And people will ask me, what do you think the approach is? And I will say, well, there's a couple of ways we could take it. I'm not sure which one would work. And so, like, I know more than most people in the room that are asking me the question, and I'm non-committal on it because I don't know. Like, I think I've got a bead on what they're thinking, and I think I've got a bead on where they're coming from, but I don't know for sure. I got to ask some more questions to feel them out a little bit. And I'm non-committal, and I'm way more non-committal on stuff I know a lot about than I am on stuff I know a little bit about. On stuff I know a little bit about, I'll make more definitive statements, and it's fucking stupid. I know better than it too, but I still do it sometimes.
I definitely have that approach to yoga. I am so non-committal about yoga that you either are gonna love my class or you're gonna be like, this is not right. I have to warn people. I always ask before somebody walks in my class, did you read the description? And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they look really confused. Like I don't know why I would need to read a description about a yoga class because yoga classes are as diverse as the people who teach them.
Mm.
And it's a complete assumption and stereotype that we are all running around in flower crowns and telling people that you're okay, I'm okay, so we're okay. I am not that teacher. And I come with a warning label. I tell them all the time, listen, this is not going to look like a yoga class, but you are going to feel amazing in your brain and in your body when we're done. And I can't explain it to you. You just have to go through it. You're either going to love me or you're going to hate me. And if you hate me, it just means I'm not the teacher for you, and that's fine. There are a billion flower crown wearing yoga teachers. There are a billion willowy 90-pound girls who are happy to tell you, just breathe and blossom your heart open. I'm not that person. Okay. I'm going to tell you where to put your right foot. I'm going to tell you where to put your left foot. I'm going to tell you mechanically what it should feel like in your body, but I'm not in your body, right? So if we got to make some adjustments, we got to make some adjustments. It's going to suck. You're going to cuss. You're going to question your life choices. You're going to hate the fact that you probably had something that you shouldn't have had before you came into this hot room. It's 110 degrees in here. I'm yelling. Everybody's laughing. The people who know me are cussing and falling, right? So the new people are like, what the hell is happening? I had a French girl come in a couple of days ago. She's like, you're the best yoga teacher I've ever taken in my life. I have never taken a class like this. She was completely confused because the entire class, we're talking about the Superman movie. And she was like, the hell is going on in this class? But we're equating some of the scenes to some of the poses. And I'm telling them, like, listen, I can make it about anything because life is life, right? And yoga is a reflection of Ayurveda, which is the science of life. So it doesn't have to be super spiritual. We don't have to sit here and pretend to be people that we're not. I like Superman. We're going to talk about Superman today. It's what it is. I had a whole yoga class one time about getting a parking ticket. I was pissed off about the parking ticket.
So that's rage yoga. Rage yoga, yep. Right?
It was about processing not only anger, but processing feelings of unfairness. That's life. Sometimes I didn't think I deserved a ticket. This dude was clearly bored, and he pulled me over in front of the studio where I needed to be in. I needed to be in that studio in 15 minutes. And I looked at him. I was like, write me the ticket because I don't want to be late. I can't have them waiting on me. And he says, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I work right here. And I just pointed at the front of the studio, and he immediately switched. He immediately became apologetic. And I was like, dude, just write me the ticket. Just write me the ticket. I can't process this right now. I got to get in the headspace to go talk to a bunch of people about them because I can't talk just about me in this room. Am I mad? Yes, I'm mad. But I'm sure at least one other person in that room is mad. And everybody in that room has been mad before. So let's talk about processing anger and processing feelings of something happening that's not fair.
Yes, totally. Totally. So what kind of journalism did you practice? Were you an investigative reporter? Did you write opinion pieces? What kind of journalism were you in?
I did a little bit of everything up until I would say the last decade. And then the last decade was politics and current events. Being a journalist, I would say is a lot, and they're going to come for me, but I don't care. But it's a lot like going to the medical profession. You start out as a general practitioner. You start out as a GP. You just have to do all the things. You got to learn all the things, right? It's also like being an undergrad. So undergrad, you're trying to learn everything. You get your basics out of the way, you get your foundation out of the way. So my first 10 years was just, I did a little bit of everything. I was a field producer. I was an associate producer. I was an executive producer. I did entertainment. I did politics. I did current events. I did community service. I did all of these different things. I was a beat journalist, which is the worst kind because you just got to listen to the police scanner and like go find stuff, which is awful. I don't recommend it. But eventually, because I was good at it, I got put in politics and current events. I was good at it. And I found this out later. And honestly, I don't care. But I was the only Black female Muslim in that space. And it looked really good on a diversity sheet. And when I found that out, like, I didn't give a shit because I was like, I'm really good at this. So whatever. Right. But I found out in a really fucked up way. I found out because I had to do a piece about I'm gonna get my holidays mixed up, and I'm gonna apologize. But it was a Jewish holiday and a Muslim holiday fell on the same day. They fell on the same day. It was the first day of Ramadan. And I don't know, because Jews and Muslims are both on the lunar calendar.
Yep.
And so the executive producer was like, this is amazing. We're going to put a Muslim producer with a Jewish reporter, and we're going to have all the fun. And it didn't turn out that well. And I didn't know that it didn't turn out that well. I wasn't in the initial meeting when it happened. And it also was the first day of Ramadan. And if you know anything about not eating food, you don't have any energy. So during Ramadan, we don't eat, we don't drink, and from sun up to sundown, right?
Yep.
And I was tired. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and my last meal was at like 6 a.m. So I just was barely interacting with anybody. When you're fasting, you have no energy for foolishness. You just quiet. You don't like any kind of loud noises. You don't like anything out of place. And I think this is where the stereotype of being super spiritual comes from. I think that spiritual feeling of being internal and being quiet comes from some form of restriction, whether it is secular restriction, I'm not watching TV, whether it's, Lent, like I'm just not going to have chocolate or whatever, you pick a thing that you're not going to have, or
Yep.
Ramadan, where you are literally not bringing anything in. Physically, your energy goes down. I don't even care. You felt comfortable enough to say it out your face. I don't know what you say in your car. Remember what I said to the reporter? I don't care about your personal beliefs. I don't know what you're singing in your car. I don't know what you're saying in your house. I don't care. I'm not you. I don't have to live in your skin. But when you bring your ass into a shared space, you will act accordingly. I don't give y'all all of my opinions when I come into this room. I come into this room, it's about you. It is no longer about me. I drop all my bullshit at the door. No matter what is happening, I don't bring that in and make it your problem. If I make it your problem, I'm not a good teacher. Now I'm stealing focus, right? And there's a word for that in the 8-limbed path, which would be like the 10 commandments, right? Do this, don't do that, right? There's something called observances and disciplines. And one of the disciplines is non-stealing, right? And it's just like thou shalt not steal, right? But non-stealing, ashteya, means not only not stealing physical things, but not stealing focus. And I have to explain that sometimes to other teachers. Don't steal focus.
Yeah.
When you step into that room, you are part of a collective. You are a guide in a collective. This is not the you show. You don't get to come in and perform and make everybody feel inadequate with all of your vast knowledge and your backbends. That's not what this is for. You're in a shared collective. You are the guide in that collective. And your hope is that when people leave that space, they come out a little better for it. Regardless of what that better looks like, they come out a little better for it. Maybe they learned something. Maybe something freaked them out or pissed them off, and they need to now explore why. And I tell people that in my class, you're not going to like everything that we do, and that's fine. You don't have to. I'm not here to make you happy. I'm here, hopefully, to guide you into a space where you're willing to ask questions. They say that yoga is not about the forward fold. It's about what you learn on the way down. And if we believe that, if we know that this just isn't a series of poses so that we can be skinny and flexible, if we're actually learning things, then that means that even I, as a teacher, cannot sit up on my pedestal and pontificate about the meaning of life. I got to learn too.
Totally. Yes. Well, that's a good segue. So we've talked a lot about journalism, but I want to absolutely get to, because we got to get to your line and all the cool things you've got going on. How did you transition? I guess two things. What made you transition from journalism to health wellness full time? And what approach did you take to do that?
So I've always been very active. I've been active since I was a kid. Again, I grew up in a very physical space. Both my parents are very physical. My father worked out, my mother worked out, and my mother was the king of health and wellness in the kitchen, right? So I learned about all of the things that I learned about naturally, started with lessons sitting up under her and learning how to put things together. And that was everything. Sometimes it was something for our skin. Sometimes it was something for us to eat or something for us to drink. But everything that we did was very harmonious. So as much as I rebelled as a teenager, I always kept those things because those were like little things that were passed down from my grandparents and from my parents to me. So that was a normal thing that I did in my private life. The first time I decided that journalism might not be for me, it might have been around Obama's second term. First time, I've been through a lot of presidents. I'm 51. My first awareness of politics, I might have been 3, was Jimmy Carter.
Me
My
too.
parents were political, right? So because my parents were political, I knew who my president was. I knew who my vice president was. So politics came very naturally to me because politics were heavily discussed in my house. Around Obama's second term, I got tired. I think that is the best way to explain it. And I don't know that it is that I got tired, is that sometimes you realize that you're in a space that you've outgrown. Because it wasn't a negative feeling. It was a feeling of operating in a mundane space. It was a feeling of plug and play, of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And when you've been through that many presidents, when you've been through that many policies, when you have seen things ebb and flow, like I talk about Glass-Steagall and people think that I'm speaking French, but I'm like, Glass-Steagall is the reason that you don't have any money in your bank account. Okay. The Telecommunications Act of 1996 is the reason that we are all now in an echo chamber and we're pretending that it's news. It's not news. It's whatever makes you feel good with a little bit of facts sprinkled in so that we can all pretend to be journalists. That changed because we allowed companies to own information. This is not a personal thing. This is not an unfairness thing. This is not a thing to get in your feelings about. These are facts. Because companies own information, they are now going to do what no company should be allowed to do, which is control the way that you feel. So Fox News was born and MSNBC was born. You know, like they are just opposite of each other, right? They're just both echo chambers on both sides of the aisle. And sometimes they're right, most times they're wrong. And that's fine. But this is where we are. But this stuff didn't happen by accident. And I think it was when we came into the second term and Republicans were losing their shit. I mean, they were so mad. They were mad that this man got elected again. How dare he? And then they were mad that he pushed through the ACA. So I'm a political person. I'm dealing with all of the piss and vinegar that comes with the unfairness that Republicans feel about the ACA. This is so unfair. This is not right. We should be able to change this. We should be able to fix this. And if we strip away politics, if we strip away right versus left and all of that, what we're looking at is two groups of people who want control. And you're the prize, right? They want control. You're the prize. This man took 4 years to figure out how to do this, and then took the next 4 years to do it in such a way that in 2025, they are still trying to undo it. And I don't care what horse you back. That shit was smart. And I said that to my Republican friend. She was pissed off because Mitt Romney lost. And I was like, back a better horse. Your horse sucks. Back a better horse. Right? Because we used to have these like passionate conversations about politics, but we never brought our feelings into it. And I was like, this is why your horse sucks. Right? So when we went back and forth, and then she got me back. She got me back in 2016. So it doesn't even matter, right? She was like, back a better horse. So but this is why we're friends, because we don't give a shit.
Right.
So, she was like, oh, I'm sorry. Are we backing shitty horses now? I was like, you can go fuck yourself. But we're still friends to this day. Right or wrong, good or bad, if we take our feelings out of it and we understand that it's always about information, it's always about power. Always take your feelings out of it. It's been about information and been about power since the dawn of this country. Okay, your feelings don't matter. This is the fact. I don't care what side of the aisle you fall on. If we strip away morality, because morality will fuck you up, right? Because we know about morality. right? If we strip away morality and we focus on ethics and we focus on law, now we can have a conversation, right? I'm going to take morality out of it, because the other thing about this conversation and this country is that morals are elastic. We have proved that over and over and over again.
For sure.
Nobody has the moral high ground. We're not going to have that conversation. Y'all don't want to have that conversation. That conversation will make you really fucking uncomfortable, right? So let's just take moral.
Right. Yeah, like it's okay to cheat on your wife depending on which party you're in. So if you're a Republican, you can cheat on your wife as long as other Republicans are doing it, but the Democrats can't, and vice versa, right? And vice versa.
And it's just so stupid, which is why House of Cards was such a brilliant show, because that guy was a Democrat and he's a piece of shit. Right. So and it turns out Kevin Spacey probably not that much better in real life, according to the evidence. If I take, and now Kevin Spacey's going to sue me, that's going to happen. Right? But according to the evidence, if we're just going on public information, right? And that's for everybody, because remember, I'm a journalist. At the end of the day, I just want to know what the transcript says.
That's right.
I want to know what the facts say. If I can see what the facts say, then I feel more confident in the opinion that I develop based on those facts.
Yes.
It makes me a
preach,
person, and it makes me more open. I'm more open if you present a different set of facts, and I'm like, okay, actually, I didn't know that. Okay, let's explore that. And the thing that, and this just is hilarious, that I'm talking to a man who checks the white man box, regardless of what you're after. I always say, what box do you check, right? So for the man who checks the white man box, it is just hilarious that I'm going to have this. That I'm having this conversation with you, because I feel like you and I visually end up on opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
Sure.
Visually, people look at us and they're like, oh, no, like those people, you got a yoga teacher over here, she's all about flowers and love and light, and you got this businessman over here and he's all about bottom lines and facts and figures. And it's like, no, both of us are probably a little bit of both.
That's right.
I didn't run to yoga because I wanted to reject politics. I'm still highly political.
Yep.
I'm still very much into news. I listen to news all the time. Actual news, not the bullshit that passes as news, right?
Well, it's too bad you're not very smart and can't talk about it very well.
Right. Right. So because I went to yoga, so we were asking me a question. I never answered the freaking question.
No, I knew you were getting around to it. No, totally. You're good.
But Obama's second term is when I realized that I was very much in a plug and play scenario. And the reason I was in a plug and play scenario is because my station, CBS, is owned by a corporation. Now it's owned by a different corporation, but at the time was owned by Paramount. Right now, I do believe they sold it. No, they didn't sell the Skydance. They still trying to bribe Trump so that they can just go through.
That's in process. Yes.
Yeah, that was a $16 million bribe. They still trying to get this man to be like, okay, y'all can go ahead and sell the Skydance. But at the time when I worked for Paramount, that's a corporation that owns information.
Yep.
And that's dangerous, right? Now, the head of that corporation is conservative. That doesn't matter until we now have to do equal time in a non-election space. So in an election space, we have to do something called equal time. That means if like Trump and Hillary, perfect example. Anytime Hillary said something, we had to run something from Trump. Anytime Trump said something, we had to run something from Hillary. That's law, right? So two things happen during the election cycle. Politicians do not pay for airtime. And we have to balance the scales. If we talk about one person, we have to talk about the other person. So in Obama's second term, he was a president. We weren't in an election cycle. We started doing this equal time bullshit. And I was like, why do I have to do this? I don't understand why I have to even talk about somebody who doesn't agree with what he's saying. I don't care what he's saying. He's the president. Why are we doing this? He's not running. He's never going to run again.
Yeah, right.
Why do we care that some Yahoo on the other side of the country doesn't like what he said in a 15-second soundbite in a speech that was 90 minutes long? I was mad. And I got
Mm.
to the point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was like, this is stupid. This is not journalism. This is not journalism. This is us pandering to a crowd that has an attitude that we have a progressive in office and wants to be heard, even if they don't have anything to say. And to be clear, I feel the exact same way when we have a conservative in office. And now I have to hear progressive go off about something that doesn't matter. And we weren't talking about it in the first place, but equal time.
Well, I'd be curious to hear. The first time I remember this, and again, we grew up in the same generation. Speaking of which, you talked about it earlier. Um, Both Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan dying in the same week makes me feel old as fuck. I'll tell you that right now.
You know,
These childhood paramounts are gone. What the fuck
yeah.
is happening?
So something that my husband didn't know, when we were in the car when we found out that Ozzy passed, and they were saying, he was the father of like hard rock, of hard
Yes,
metal. And he
heavy
said,
metal for sure.
I didn't know that. I didn't. I thought that he was just. I was like, no, 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 no. Before that, we glamorized rock. Before then, it was softer. We had hair bands. I grew up with the hair bands, right?
Yeah.
I grew up with the boys who wore eyeliner and lipstick, had long hair, but were still masculine, which is something they have never been able to imitate, right? Because these were not girly men. They might have long hair, they might be wearing lipstick and eyeliner, but at no point did you ever mistake them for a girl. And at no point did you ever think that they had girly tendencies, right? We've never been able to capture that type of lightning in a bottle. But Ozzy was not that person. Ozzy was like, this is what it is. Like, if we're going to be rockers, we're going to rock. We are not talking about people's emotions. We talk about death, destruction. And this is how I feel today. And today I feel black. Deal with it, right? Black Sabbath, right? This is who we are. We don't care about your opinions. Fuck your feelings. Fuck your opinions. This is who we are. And everybody started to follow suit after that. And he was like, I had no idea because he didn't listen to Sabbath, right? He didn't listen to Ozzy. I listened to Ozzy because I was rebelling against my parents. So we always go back to that, right? Go back to running away from where you come from and listening to Ozzy, which is hilarious because the very first time I learned about Kiss is because my mom had a Kiss album. I didn't know what Kiss was.
She liked to rock and roll all night and party every day, huh?
Right. And I grew up in the time of albums and I was going through their albums one day and I was like, who are these people with the face paint? My mother was like, give me that. That's not for you. Like, free. She's like, that's not for you. Put it back. Right.
So, she didn't want you to hear Love Gun and get bad ideas, right?
But now I'm grown up, right? So, and one of my jobs in college, I was a classic rock DJ. So now I'm grown up. I start learning about this genre of music. I grew up in hair bands and emo music, right?
Yep.
As a child. But when I became an adult, when I went to college, part of the way I put myself through college was by being a classic rock DJ. And I started to learn about all of these artists that I didn't know anything about. And we would slip a little Sabbath in there sometimes. We would slip. First time I learned about Rush, it was on the station. I didn't know what the fuck Rush was. And I was like, I like this. Like, so every now and then a movie will come on and it'll be some weird, obscure rock song. And my husband will just look at me and he's like, name the artist, name the song, right? Name the song, name the band. And I'm like, okay, so now it's like a personal challenge because he's like, how did you come to this music? I came to this music because I was running away from what I thought I knew, right? Turns out, like I said, my mom listened to Kiss. I didn't know shit because she was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And in all of that, running, and running into myself the whole time, I ran into myself second term. And I realized one thing that I realized, and I teach this now, is that I was my job. And if I was my job, then that meant that my job was mundane. That meant that I was mundane. That meant that I was plug and play, right? That I just came into work, clocked in, who said this, who said that, is it the same amount of time? Are we going to hit our commercial breaks on time? It all became very of course I'm at a loss of words. I have this extensive vocabulary and I can't think of the word, but it all became very mediocre. And it really just became it was banal. It was
Yeah.
just like, what am I doing? And the very first person I can confess to, which was probably terrible for him, was a new anchor that had come into the newsroom, and he was just so gung-ho and because every time you come into a newsroom, you think you're going to be the one who changes it.
Sure.
And he very much was that guy. And he was very personable. He used to come and talk to all of us first thing in the morning. And I stared right at him one day. He was talking about something, and I was like, dude, I don't even care. And he's like, what? How did you not care? You're a journalist. And I'm like, I'm not long for this place. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm not going to do
But
this.
it ain't this. Yeah.
It's not this. And do you know how rare it is for journalists to walk? We are lifers.
Really?
Yes, we are lifers. Journalism is a career that, until it became, a career of opinions, it was a career that you were super proud of. If you came up in my time, I had a huge, I had a ceramic of the commemorative stamp of Murrow. That's how proud I was to be a journalist. That's how proud I was to be a journalist. Okay, what did I just do? There we go.
I saw the thumbs. I saw the thumbs up.
I was very proud to be a journalist. I came up with Jennings and Brokaw and Rather. These were my guys, right? We watched the McNeil-Lehrer Hour, which I'm sure nobody knows about at this age, right? But we used to watch the McNeil-Lehrer Hour at 6 p.m. every single night. And then we would watch World News at 7 p.m. and pick a channel. We were either going to watch Rather or Jennings or Brokaw, depending. And we always used to settle on Jennings because he would say, from all of us at ABC News, good night. My mom would yell, good night, Peter. And it's like, we were highly political, right? This is the household that I grew up in. So I knew that I was going to be a journalist. I knew
it was such a noble profession when we grew up too, because Pentagon Papers, the Watergate scandal,
right?
Broken by journalists, that was holding truth. That was speaking truth to power and holding powerful people accountable for their actions. And 60 Minutes used to be an actual investigative news show. Or if you went on 60 Minutes, you were fucked. They were going to get into your shit.
Yeah. And they knew. They had receipts. It wasn't like this is what we tell people about federal cases. When the feds come for you, they have been doing work on you for like 10 years. You don't have any secrets. By the time you get arrested, you are dead in the water. And that's what investigative journalism used to be about. We never did things half-cocked. You didn't move until you knew, especially because in your employee handbook, it was stated that if you did not confirm, if you put false or inaccurate information on the air, that was grounds for termination. Period. We took our jobs very seriously. We did not take gifts. We did not take bribes. We did not talk to people without witnesses so that we could not be confused about what was on the record. And we confirmed 3 times. 3 times. I got hauled in the office one time about a sheriff's deputy who threatened to sue us because it was inferred in the story that I wrote that he was guilty when he hadn't even been tried. Now, what we found out later, when I read it, I was like, I didn't write this. I don't know what this is, but I don't know who this guy is.
Oh, wow.
I didn't write this. Because once we started going digital, computers, remember I said like the internet's forever?
Yeah.
Computers record a digital footprint. And even though the story was assigned to me, but I hadn't gotten to the story, I was doing something else. I just hadn't gotten to it yet, right?
Yep.
So an EP, who is no longer an EP, that's an executive producer, went in there and wrote the story her damn self. And didn't fact check anything.
Under your byline?
Under my name.
Holy shit.
And I almost got canned for it. And the only reason I didn't get canned for it is because When you type on a computer, it leaves a digital footprint.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I know how to trace the digital footprint. Most of us did, because that's how we kept ourselves safe, right?
You're an investigative journalist. Yeah.
Right. So you would print out a special prompt that would tell you every single keystroke that happened in that particular cue. And so you see the first keystrokes are when my name is being put next to the story. The second keystroke is maybe when the technical guys go in and they put in all the prompts that they need in order, because everybody has access to this cue. So they'll go in and put in their technical cues for like whenever they got to take a certain shot or add sound or whatever, right? And then maybe an editor goes in there and is like, oh, what is the footage that needs to match the story? Everybody's got their fingers in it. Meanwhile, I haven't even seen it because I'm doing 12 other things over here. And anyway, it's like a 45-second story and I can do that in my sleep. And so I probably was thinking I'll get to this last because this is not hard. Because you just do the hardest thing first and then you finish up the easy stuff when you're done. Regardless, it goes to air on one show and then it gets copied and pasted to another show without the person in that show confirming anything, thinking that something might be different, blah, 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 right? I go print out everything because I was like, and it was the guy who hired me, always the guy who hired me, brilliant journalist. And he would call me in on journalistic things, right? We would argue as journalists. We never argued about our feelings. And he was like, you know that the onus is on you. Fix it. Tell me what happened. Show me what happened. I go right back out. I print it's like 50 pages because every single keystroke or every single change is its own page. And the person's name comes up next to the changes. And when the story comes up, it's that person's name. And I was like, my initials might be next to it. It might be my byline. I didn't write this. And he looked at me and he was like, okay, fine, get out. Because now he doesn't care. Now he's got a bigger problem. So he got to go
get back to work.
Yeah, he's like, get out. And I was like, okay, like we're good. Because I don't want to hear about this shit again. And he's like, no, we're fine, get out. So I went back to my job and I went about my business. But that's how important it was. And here's the really, really screwed up thing about that story. That guy was guilty. He did go to jail, but he hadn't been tried yet.
Yeah, right.
And that's what sets journalists apart. We don't convict people. We don't do anything until we have proof. And at the time that story aired, we didn't have proof. All we had were allegations. Now, 2 months later, did he get tried? Did he get convicted? Is he currently rotting in a jail cell? Yes. Not the point. We couldn't do that. And I could have absolutely lost my job for putting false or inaccurate information on the air. I was hired by a journalist and I prided myself in being a journalist. And when we got to the point where people in the newsroom would just throw up their hands and say, let's just call it something different. Let's not call it news. Let's just call it whatever the fuck we're doing because it's not news. I was like,
I'm out.
Great. And then when we got to the point where it was like, okay, how many more years do I have till retirement? And I think I had 13 years. And I was like, I would rather hang myself from a short tree. We not doing this. I'm not doing this. I haven't been back in that building since.
Really?
My husband still works there. I haven't been back in that building since. And everybody's like, where is she? What's she doing? I told them I'm going to come in and say hi one day. I heard it's like all new people. I think everybody my age is gone. Everybody left. But, and it wasn't the people. And to be clear, I have such a soft spot for all of my coworkers. Even the ones that gave me shit, because when I started teaching yoga, this is how this works. I started to learn that it wasn't about me. That's when I took myself out of the equation. So like the executive producer who gave me shit had a terrible home life. The director who intentionally called me stupid because I would like not have an answer for him in like 5 seconds had bad ticker. Right? Everybody's got shit. Everybody.
Yeah.
And if we walk into conversations understanding that, we tend to be a lot more compassionate. We tend to be nicer to ourselves and we tend to be nicer to each other.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with you. So you get to the point, you realize it's not your thing. You pivot to health and wellness. How did you build that business? How'd you go about it? What'd you do?
Failed spectacularly out the gate. So I started taking yoga, and then I was like, I'm going to teach this, right? So then I started taking yoga teacher training. Now, yoga teacher training is not what people think it is. It's boot camp. It will absolutely rip you open and dump out your insides and attempt to reassemble you.
Mm,
And you learn a lot. I spent most of my first training in tears, right? And
really?
I'm an adult at this point. Oh God, yes. It I don't know why people think that yogis are like these super, super sweet. We gotta train to be like that. We
No,
come
no,
in
I
there.
have a hard time picturing you in tears. That's my life.
Oh man, the amount of tears. Oh my God. And I was one of the oldest people. That's the other thing is freaking offensive. I was one of the
Mm.
oldest people here. Everybody's 18 and they're like, I'm a dancer, I'm an actress. I'm just learning how to do yoga, because I need to make a living and I don't want to wait tables. So I'm going to take this yoga teacher training and I'm going to mop the yoga studio floor so that I can just live my best life. Trying to make this happen, right? Because I really like this yoga thing and I really like being a journalist and I wasn't really interested in giving up either one. I wanted both. And it turned out that was not the case because I was like, okay, what's more important to me? And yoga was more important to me. And then yoga turned into nutrition, turned into Ayurveda, turned into Habibi life, which is the way to live. Practical advice for an abundant life. Practical, not esoteric, not unachievable, not expensive, practical. That's how this whole thing happened. And then I just took Habibi Life and I shoved Habibi Sport up under it and I shoved Habibi Bath and Body up under it. And so now it's just an amalgamation of a lifestyle brand. It started out with skincare, but that wasn't real. That was just the thing that I was passionate about. But it turned into lifestyle because the way that your skin looks and the way that your body functions and the way that you thrive is all interconnected.
That is awesome. And so one, I appreciate you being so candid about, hey, I started off and it was a fucking train wreck and I had to pivot and I had to keep taking steps and keep taking action until I got to a spot that made sense and that was
Yep.
usable. Because I think so many people, and the no front page news to you, but so many people just want to post their highlights. And I call bullshit on the highlight reel. I don't, fuck your Instagram, fuck your Facebook, fuck all that stuff. I'm not fooled. I know you're full of shit. Save the song and dance for someone that you might fool because I'm not that guy. I know you're
But
full of
you
shit because
know,
everybody's full of shit.
the highlight reel, the reason that exists, especially on Instagram, especially on TikTok, is because now it's lucrative.
Mm-hmm.
So you thought we were liars before?
Yeah,
Now we're
right.
really liars because now lying makes us money, right? Because what people aspire to is to be aspirational. Being
Yes.
aspirational gets you followers. Followers get you brand deals. Brand deals get you endorsements, right? Not to mention that you get paid for the amount of hits that you get on a lot of these platforms. So
I
you're making money.
literally, yeah, I literally did a podcast episode on this yesterday, like this exact subject, which is stop being inspirational or looking for inspiration and start doing shit and making a difference that will change your life. I
First, you
literally,
gotta know what
this is
you
our,
want.
yeah, this is our podcast episode from yesterday.
But literally, the reason that people can't do that is because they don't know what they want.
Mm,
Because they've been honest about what they want. What do you want? Right? This is a question that I have with people when I'm doing a nutritional consult of all things, when they're just like, I just want to lose 16 pounds. Not good enough. What do you want? And at the end of the day, they just want to feel good about the skin that they're in. And they
yeah.
don't understand why they don't feel good. And all of that trickles, all of that ripples out. The way that you feel about yourself changes the way that you treat people. Happy people do not fuck with other people.
That's right.
Have you noticed that?
They're too busy living their life. They don't got time for it.
You somebody else's life miserable. Who has time for
Totally.
that? I ask people like that, especially when people get into othering, right? I'm stressed out because my job. I'm stressed out because my spouse. I'm stressed out because my kids. All of those things can be changed. You cannot change them, but you can change the way you approach those things. I am not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to abandon your kids. I'm not telling you to leave your spouse, right? But I am telling you that if you don't like what's happening, you need to start asking some questions. What's your part in this? What's your part in your drama? Because you exist in this too, right? It's not all them. What's your part? Nobody wants to have that conversation. That conversation sucks, right? Because it's not my fault. I'm perfect. These people suck. And this is why I'm fat. This is why my back hurts. This is why my knees hurt. This is why my ankles hurt. This is why I can't commit to anything that I commit to. Now, that's a quick way to piss me off. Say you're going to do something and not do it. But I can't because all these extra things outside of me, I can't keep my word. I can't do the thing that I set out to do. And people tell me, like, you're so uptight. Like, why do you care? Because you are all you have. And if you cannot trust yourself, why should I trust you?
I
can't trust you to do
yeah. You hit the, so this is my Taylor Swift. I call it my Taylor Swift theory, but like she's become a billionaire by writing songs largely about relationships that went shitty. What is the one thing that all those relationships have in common? It's fucking
What?
Taylor Swift. It's her.
I'm gonna do you one better. Okay. I'm gonna talk about Jennifer Lopez, who's got like 5 wedding rings or 5 engagement rings. Ma'am. Thing. We glorify this. And they make money off of it, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves. And
yes.
at some point, as a listener, you outgrow Taylor Swift, right? At
That's
some
right.
point, the listener, you outgrow Jennifer Lopez. Like, y'all got perpetual problems. And I'm past your problems now. But they do it because it makes money. We go back to the highlight reel. We go back to the reason that we choose certain subjects. We choose certain colors, certain schemes, certain language. It's because it affects our personal bottom line. And that's all of us.
Yes.
I'm going to include myself in that. That's all of us. You talk about rebelling against your parents. Okay. So grew up Muslim, right? Supposed to be covered. Minute I left my house, everything came off. Right? I was like, I'm an adult. I do what I want. What do I look like right now?
Yeah, right. Full circle, baby. Full circle.
I look like proper young woman, right?
That's right.
My mama was proud. But it comes around to she probably knew what the hell she was talking about, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know shit. And B, I spent so much time trying to be different that I didn't realize that I was enough. This is who I am. And you can take it or leave it. And that's fine. I don't care if you don't like me.
Yes.
I'm okay with you not wanting to come to my class. I'm okay with you not wanting to come to my app. I'm okay with you not wanting to buy my products. All of these things are fine. It just means that I'm not the person for you. I hope that you find the person for you, right? I hope that you're happy. And I really mean that. That's not me being like cute and esoteric and yogi.
100% with you.
At the end of the day, I want you to be happy. Are you happy? I told a lady who went off on me one day. This is when I really knew I had fucking evolved, because I did something wrong. In her defense, I completely fucked up.
Yeah.
I found out that one of my colleagues and one of my friends had died, and nobody knew for like a week because he really kept to himself. We had no idea, but he didn't come to work one day. And we found out, like, they called the cops. We went and did a wellness check, and they found out he had a heart attack. And I had no idea how to process it. I was having a really hard time. I was at Gelson's, and Gelson's is like this, because I forget you're not on the West Coast. Gelson's is this really expensive, unnecessary store where you pay too much money for things, but you feel really good being there because like it's kind of awesome. Not as bad as
So
Erewhon, but close. Erewhon is like the king demon of that line of grocery stores. Erewhon, everything's marked up by $20, and the people who shop at Erewhon happily pay that just to say that they shopped at Erewhon.
so they got the bag, right? Yeah, exactly.
The bag that looks just like every other paper bag with a different stamp on it. It's ridiculous. Gelson's it's about a step below that, right?
Got it. Yeah.
And Gelson's had something that I wanted that nobody else had or something. And I'm coming out of Gelson's and I'm learning about this. I'm on the phone with my friend who's just like, Steve's not with us anymore. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm freaking out. And this is what's real messed up is I had a backup camera and I did this. I put my car in reverse without looking behind me. And a lady and her kid were crossing behind my car.
Mm.
Did not look behind me, did not check the camera, didn't look in the rear view, nothing. I just hit the gas. And she hit the back of my car, which surprised the shit out of me. I was like, what? I didn't know anybody was behind me because I wasn't paying attention because I was distracted talking to my friend, trying to figure out what was going on. I also needed to go to teach at the gym where I taught. So I was grabbing something from Gelson. It must have been a protein bar or something because I was grabbing something on the way to go teach. And I had to process this information so that I didn't take it into the room with me when I got to the gym. This lady hits the back of my car and she goes in. I mean, she's going off. Now, two things need to be clear about this situation. The city that I was in, because Gelson's are only in good parts of town, the city that I was in is a city full of self-centered, whiny, arrogant people who think the universe revolves around them.
Sure.
And they're very good at making mountains out of molehills. And anybody who lives in that city, they know I'm talking about them because I'm very loud about the city. Every time I drive in that city, I was like, I hate driving the city because y'all all think everything's about you. So she's going off. She's rightfully upset. She has a reason to be upset. I did not almost hit her, but she's now gone into attempted murder. She's literally taken this to attempted murder. Like, so now we got intent, we got malice. I'm intending to murder her child. I looked her dead in her face. And this was probably the wrong thing to do, but I'm not going to apologize for it because that's how I felt. Because when she was just a big mouth, just screaming, I looked at her, I was like, do you feel better? And it stopped her in her tracks. She knows
that is the right thing to do, though. That's exactly the right thing to do.
She had no idea what to do. She could not believe because I'm just taking it. I'm taking it. I was wrong. To be clear, I was wrong. And I'm just taking it from her. And at some point, my brain goes, you have a class to get to. Are you going to stand here and entertain this woman in all of her drama? Or are you going to go to class? And I was like, do you feel better? She looked at me and I was like, I hope you feel better. I'm sorry for the 100th time.
Yeah.
Hope you feel better. Have a good day. And I got in the car and took off. She probably laid every curse on me in the face of the earth. But I didn't care. I was like, I had to get out of there. And it occurred to me that her being as angry as she was not 100% about me. Because she was really mad. I mean, she took it all the way to the moon. She was freaking out. And I was like, ma'am, I didn't hit you. I didn't hit him. You pounded on my car to let me know that you were behind me. We could have got away with flipping me off. You could have just flipped me off and the whole conversation would have been done. But that's not what you wanted. You wanted me to get out the car, ask me why I'm so stupid. Am I not paying attention? What's going on? Now, understand in the back of my mind, I'm still dealing with the fact that my friend died. Yeah. I'm not telling her that. That's none of her business. I also got a class that I need to be to in about 45 minutes on the other side of town. I got to drive all the way to Northridge, and I got to take 3 freeways to get there. People are going to know what city I'm talking about, right? They're going to look at the map and be like, what's 3 freeways from Northridge? I'm not telling. But you people who drive in that city, you suck. Anyway, the point is that I started to understand that everything wasn't about me.
Sure.
And that when people really act out, when they really show their tails, most of the time it's not about me. I have students that come into my class and are angry with me because I don't coddle them. That's not about me. I had a student And students do this a lot, so I'm used to it. But I had a student tell me some things that are really, really messed up that happened in her life. And I asked her, at what point was she going to not allow life to happen to her?
Mm-hmm.
And she got really upset and she said, don't you think that's victim blaming? And I said, no, I don't think that's victim blaming. You're telling me something that happened to you when you were 11 and you're 32. I don't know. I'm just coming into this information. Okay. I just met you. I'm just coming into this information. And I don't know all of it because you're not going to tell me all of it because nobody tells you the whole story. But I am asking you as a 32-year-old what you are willing to do to feel better, to better. What are you willing to do? And it's not fair, right? We've had these conversations about unfairness. And she said, do you think that some people in this world have harder lives than others? And I said, absolutely.
For sure. Duh.
Absolutely. That's not a question. And she said, do you think that's fair? And I said, no. But I didn't make this world. I'm part of it. I'm trying to make it better when I leave. But I don't know what else to ask you other than what do you want? Because we can stay here. We can stay here in your trauma and in your misery, and we can tread this water if that's what you want. Do you want comfort? Or do you want to talk to me in an attempt to explore and maybe problem solve and workshop a different pathway? That's not going to happen in the hour that we have together. That's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, you have to move. Like, you can't just exist living on your couch for your entire life.
But there are people who do. And they can figure out why their backs hurt and why their legs hurt. And they have swelling around their ankles. You don't move your body. Your body is designed to move. So I teach difficult things. I take all of the dogma out of it. You are not going to hear me talking about rainbows and glitter and unicorns. You're not going to hear that from me because I'm not here to make you feel good, right? You are going to feel good. To be clear, even after you cuss me out, you're going to roll your shoulders and be like, but okay, that worked. I feel better. Okay. Do you feel better? Let's proceed. Right. And once we figured that out, once I figured out that your gut is your second brain, right? And what you eat affects how you feel, and how you feel affects what you eat. Once I started making those connections and started learning more, because like, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah, right.
So exactly. Once I started learning from people and taking classes from people who are much smarter than me, then I was like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do, because trainers don't want me, right? Trainers are not interested in what I'm offering, but I was always offering a path, potentially freedom, whether that was financial freedom or autonomy, so that you weren't doing the yoga hustle and you weren't grinding and hopping from gym to gym to gym, making minimum wage, to the person that's like, I don't know why I'm so angry all the time. And usually you find out the person that's so angry all the time also has severe inflammation because the body's angry. The brain
that
is
makes sense.
And the body's angry. I don't know who we need to talk to first, but let's try to get everybody less angry.
Let's start somewhere.
We got to start somewhere. So when I start having those painful conversations with people, and they're like, well, I just want to be able to fit into a dress. Then you're talking to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because I didn't start this so that you could fit into a dress. I'm disinterested in how many calories you count and what the number says on the scale. I am extremely interested in what you want and how you feel. That's the conversation I want to have with you. Because the truth is, when we get to that, all that other stuff falls into place. The weight comes off. Your sleep gets better. Your hormones balance out. But none of that matters if you haven't addressed the mental, which is why people who are overweight, who suddenly lose a bunch of weight and don't unpack the mental stuff, end up up a creek. You got to unpack the mental, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're still that overweight person in that smaller body. And all of that comes out in your behavior. It comes out in how you treat yourself, and it comes out in how you treat others.
And what products and services does Habibi Life offer to help people on that path?
So Habibi Life is the umbrella, right? That's the practical
Yep.
advice for an abundant life. That is free. That is podcasts. That is magazines. That is posts. That's just the media aspect. That's just some free crap that you can pull off of a social media platform, or you can go to the website. It's just practical advice, practical things, right? Under Habibi Life, two things: Habibi Bath and Body, which is skincare. So that's your exterior, that's your outside. How do we take care of our face? How do we take care of our hair? How do we take care of our body? How do we keep from taking advantage of the largest organ on our body, right? How do we not take our skin for granted? And then Habibi Sport is the inside. That's the nutrition. How do we get the skin to glow? We change what we're putting into our bodies so that our skin has a fighting chance. And how do we maintain that glow? We use Habibi Bath and Body products, which are very practical and very easy to use. It doesn't require a learning curve or a record deal. Like, you don't have to be rich to buy my product, right? So we take care of the outside with that. And then there's a fitness component, which follows the nutrition. Nutrition informs fitness. Fitness does not inform nutrition. So we follow the nutrition portion and we follow the skincare portion with movement. Move your body. You don't have to make it fancy. It doesn't have to be complicated. Move your body. Doesn't have to cost a lot. You don't have to join a fancy gym, but get up and do something. Don't take this body for granted. You only got the one body, right? Do something beneficial with it. Because when you feel good, when you act like you feel good, you are less likely to make other people miserable. What I care about when I say I'm trying to build a better world, stop being dicks to each other. You feel good about yourself, you're less likely to be an asshole to somebody else.
Isn't that the truth?
Everybody. That goes for everybody. I don't care who it is. A body is a body. A person is a person. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care how much money you have. We all have bodies. And when I talk to people, some of my clients, the ones who have not let me out of the closet yet, have a little bit of power. I have some clients who have let me out of the closet. But some people are discreet because they want to act like all they did was have like salmon and broccoli and they look amazing. And I'm like, okay, right. you can tell that lie. It's fine. I know when you cry because I make you drink beet juice. Right? I know when you have an attitude and you cuss everybody out because I'm making you do something that you really don't want to do. When I call you and I tell you I'm going to be there in 30 minutes, get off your ass and make sure you washed it because we're going to sweat. Right? Just say that all you had was salmon and broccoli and, you know, the world sees your highlight reel and yay, you know. So,
fine.
But the people, when they get, because they're privileged, because some of my clients check a higher tax bracket, right? And because they're very privileged, they sometimes forget that they're human beings in a body. So when they're in a shitty mood, it's usually because they don't feel good. And then I have to challenge them. And sometimes we fight. What's really weird is that I haven't gotten fired yet. I always think, this is the day I get fired. This is the day I get fired because someone has pissed this person off and we in a knockdown, drag out fight. And we got the whole house stressed out. And this is the day I lose my job. And then they send me a text message to be like, thank you, girl. I love you. What do you do? Right? You are, and this is something I learned, and I'm going to use this phrase for the rest of my life. When I call somebody a delusional chaos demon, like, I love that term now. Somebody is so caught up in their grandeur,
yes,
right, that they mistreat other people. I call them a delusional chaos demon. This is what you are. And this is how you're acting right now. And if you don't want to be that person, then you need to go sit in the corner right now and get it together. Especially the people whose names are more recognizable, right? Especially people who check those higher tax brackets and who are known in their pond and, you know, who everybody caters to because they make a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say you're more polite than me. I just say, who the fuck do you think you are?
But that doesn't get us anywhere.
I know you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Your approach is
okay,
better.
I heard you. This is how you feel. All right. Now, do you want to talk about what's going on? And the problem sometimes with all of us is we think that whatever's happening in our little universe, in our little world, is the most important thing in the world.
Oh yeah, for
Right.
sure.
And sometimes when we're delusional about that, we make other people pay for it. We make people pay for things that don't matter. At the end of the day, I will say to them, you know that in the scheme of things, this doesn't matter. This matters because you make more money than God. But in the scheme of things, no one cares. This doesn't matter. So you didn't get the hotel room you wanted when you went to Amangiri. Who cares? Who, like, seriously, at the end of the day, does anybody know that you didn't get the view that you wanted? And so now we all got to pay for it because you came home and acted like a dick, right? You're mad because somebody fucked up the reservations. And now you want to complain to me for 60 minutes of your time. Because I tell people the time is the time. I don't care how you spend the time.
Yeah, right.
I'm working. Or you can cry to me about how hard your life is. It's not hard, right? I don't care. When that timer goes off, I'm going to be like, sweetie, I love you. I got to go.
Peace out.
Yeah, I got to go. This is how you spend the time. Now, I don't want to hear shit about why you can't fit those jeans and why you can't fit that dress because we sat here and talked about your problems for the hour that you're supposed to be working out.
That aren't actually problems, by the way.
That are not problems. So that's why I ask people, what do you want? What do you want? You want me to sit here and listen to you? I'll sit here and listen to you. You want to move? We move. I will do whatever you need. I am of service. I am a guide, right? You don't get to be a dick. You don't get to be disrespectful. And you don't get to make other people's lives miserable because you're miserable. Because if you're happy, you won't bother people. These are the things that I try to teach them. Sometimes I do it through food. You know, the thing that's hard for a lot of them, especially the super privileged ones, is they don't want to cook for themselves.
Really?
Why should they cook for themselves? They can afford to hire help. But I'm like, do you learn anything when you hire help? What have you learned? Absolutely nothing. You should know what goes in your food. That means get off your ass, wash your hands, and let's cook. We can teach anything. I can teach you how to cook. I can teach you how to take care of yourself. I can teach you how to move. But I can't drag you along. I'm not interested in dead weight. I always tell people I will be in the corner with glitter and pom-poms cheering you on every step of the way. I promise you, I will not drop you. I will not abandon you. I will be your biggest cheerleader. What I will not do is let you sit here and feel sorry for yourself.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I will not coddle you and I will not drag you. I will not do that. I don't have time. I have a whole family. What am I dragging you for? I got pets. I got spouse. I got kid. Why am I here? I am not your wet nurse. You're a whole ass adult, right? And you have to make that distinction with people if you expect them to grow. And it's unpleasant. I'm waiting for somebody to be like, I hate you. Don't come back. Okay.
But I don't think you're going to run into that because people deep down know that it's right that they need to suffer and struggle and fight if they want to grow as people. And even if it's ugly when it happens, and even if it's uncomfortable when it happens, and even if they hate you as the messenger for making it happen, they know that it's legit. And I would be shocked if you actually wind up in that situation because like I'm similar to you in that I don't sugarcoat stuff and I don't lie about stuff. Like the truth is the truth. It is what it is. And I can deal with it, but you need to deal with it too. Right. So that's my whole point is we're just going to come from a place of truth and then we're going to figure it out from there.
Yeah.
And that
it's
works.
okay if you don't like me. It's okay.
That's right. Yeah, I'm cool with it. Totally. Like I swear to God, so I have an example to prove this. So I play in this golf. It's like a tour where everybody gets together and plays a tournament. It's not really a league, but it's every couple of weeks. And this is my first year. I've never been in it before. So I sign up, I get down there, and it's pouring down rain. I'm certain they're going to cancel the tournament, which they did, but they didn't cancel it until like the minute before it was supposed to start. So golf's a sport. You need to get ready for a sport. So I do my stretching, I do my stuff, blah, blah, blah. In golf, you ride in a cart with another person. I didn't know who the other person was. Our names were on the cart. I've literally never met this person. So
Mhm.
I took our cart because it was a long way to the driving range and it was pouring rain. As I come back, this girl that works at the golf club and this guy run me down. And as I'm passing him, he's in the cart. He ain't saying, fucking stop right there. I'm like, oh, I must have done something wrong. I don't know. And like, I'm very calm under pressure. I do the
Okay.
opposite. So like when someone comes with high energy, I match it with low energy and balance
Mhm.
them out. Like with your story about saying to the woman, do you feel better now? That's the best thing you can do to someone that's freaking out is ask them a question about their
Mhm.
behavior. That's like by far the best thing to do. So
Right.
this is the guy I'm supposed to share the cart with, and he's really pissed because he couldn't find the cart. He's trying to get ready for the tournament and he's upset about the whole situation. So like he is literally screaming at me at the top of his lungs. I'm a big guy. He's a big guy. So I'm 6'3", 220. Like I'm not small. And he's about a similar size. And so he's literally slamming his shit in the cart and he sits down next to me. We're literally sitting shoulder to shoulder. I don't even know this guy's. The only reason I know his name is because it's written on the cart. I have no idea who he is. And he finally gets done yelling. I haven't said a word yet. I'm just watching him and listening. I'm staring at him the whole time. And I said, are you okay? And he goes, what? I said, I'm genuinely concerned about your well being. Are you okay? Let's just start there.
Right.
And he's like, what do you mean, am I okay? Like, I don't want you to have a heart attack on the golf course. I want to make sure you're all right before we continue this conversation. And like it backed him off. And so he calmed down. He said, I'm really sorry, this, that, and the other. He said, you know what the worst part is? I just talked to my wife last week about needing to control my temper better and not treat people like shit. And I said, you couldn't have picked a better guy to lose it on. I said, because I don't give a fuck what you think of me. And I don't give a fuck that you just screamed at me for 10 minutes. Like, I don't care at all. Like, we're going to be sitting next to each other in this cart. We should have a good time. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Let's
Mhm.
just forget it and move forward. I want you to play well. I want you to have a good time. Can we do that? He's like, man, are you serious? I said, as a heart attack. Like, I'm totally serious. I don't give a shit at all. To this day, this guy seeks me out at tournaments to come shake my hand and talk to me. And that was how
That's
we started.
so nice. I love that. And that, but you started like he was ready to go to war. And it wasn't
I
even about you. He was
no, it
just
had nothing to do with me.
he was
Yeah.
just off, he's having a shitty day, and he took it out on the first person he saw. And how lucky was he to run into you, right? You're the guy he runs into and he ends up learning from it. And I think that in a way, I think that you're absolutely right when you say that like people do need it. People do go, okay, maybe being an asshole hasn't worked out for me
Mm,
emotionally so far. Because I've asked people, especially people who come to me with rules. So people will come to me with rules and they'll say, okay, this is off the table. This is off the table. I'm not doing this. I'm not eating that. And I'm like, how has that worked out for you up to this point? How has skipping breakfast worked out for you? I had somebody say, like, I'm just going to skip breakfast. You don't eat. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you don't eat actual food until 4 p.m. You're living off of like coffee and prayer. And then you eat everything at 4 p.m. and you're miserable. How's that working out for you? And then they have to stop because, and there's even some people who I'll do because I always do a pre-interview with people. I'll make them pay for it because I don't want anybody to waste my time. So I'll always ask them, especially if they come in with rules or they're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, okay, then why are we talking? You know everything.
right.
You
Sure.
already know what you want. You already know how you're going to get it. Why are we talking? What am I here for? This is why I charge for the consultation. because I'll get people like that. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. You don't get to waste my time for 2.5 hours and then not hire me. Nope. I'm not doing that. And if people pay for a consultation, then I know that they're a little bit serious. They're not just talking shit. Because the thing about nutrition and fitness is because there's so much stuff in the world for free, right or wrong, good, bad, or indifferent. There's a lot of information access for free. And so they're like, well, what do I have to pay you for?
You don't.
Right? Why can't I just pick your brain? Why can't I just, and that's why I'm like, no, no, no. If you want to talk to me, it's going to cost you. Right. But that was the lesson that I learned. Initially, I was like, oh, just come talk to me. Right. This is another mistake that I made. Come talk to me. And people were in my DMs and they're calling me and they're like, some people are like, well, I don't do well with email. I need to talk on the phone. And I'm on the phone with them for 4 hours and they just wasted 4 hours of my life. Right. Because they don't want anything. They just want to see what they can get.
Yes.
That they don't have to pay for. So I'm like, no, if you want to talk to me, here's the link. I don't even have a conversation anymore. First of all, nobody pays attention to the stuff in my bio. There's 2 people that you need to go through before you ever bother me about anything, because I need to make sure that you're serious. And that's mean, right? To say that you ever bother me, to bother me. But that also comes from me being on this earth for 51 years and knowing that there's bullshit in the ether. Right? There's a lot of bullshit in the ether. There's a lot of people who just talk to be talking. There's a lot of people who waste your time, who say that they want the thing that they're supposed to want.
That's right.
Not the thing that they actually want, but the thing that they're supposed to want. So they're like, oh, this is fine. Let me reach out to this person. This person will help me. I'm not here to help you. I can't help you. I can guide you, but I can't help you. The only one who can help you is you. I can show you the things, but you have to make the decision. And if you don't make that decision, that doesn't have anything to do with me. That's you. You have to live with you. You have to decide if what you say that you want is worth the effort that you're willing to put in. And sometimes that effort does not look like super hard, super complicated work. Sometimes that effort looks like saying no to the thing that you don't want to say no to, or to the person that you don't want to say no to because you want to be liked. All of these things factor.
Yeah, and you got to show up every day. Like, it's not like the rent's due every day. Like, it's not a once a month thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be this alpha thing, right? So this is something that I learned. And when I realized that, like, everybody's wired differently, right? So we know that in the alpha space, it's like, oh, I wake up at 4 a.m. and I do a cold plunge in like 42-degree water. And then I have a smoothie with like living mushrooms and organisms from the Caribbean. And then I stare into my wife's eyes for 10 minutes. And then we journal about what we learned while we were staring. And then I run 6 miles. And then I work out. And by that time, you're just waking up and just getting started with your day. Right. So we know.
I ate some glass.
Yeah. We know what that area of the internet looks like. Right. So we know about those guys. And it's mostly men. I'm just be honest. I have not met a woman yet who lives like this. And I'm like,
well, it's just because we're idiots. That's why it is. That's just so we're clear.
But what I found out is that people who see these people, right? People who not only observe this type of behavior, but also think, well, if I do these things, then I too will be successful. No one that I know has ever done these things and been successful.
That's right.
That lifestyle is unsustainable. You need a lot of money, a lot of time, and the sheer willpower that it takes to do something like that every single day. So what I try to tell people is that showing up every day, that rent being due every day, does not mean that you kill yourself to get there.
Exactly.
That's really important. It means that every day you do something. Everyone cannot do everything, but everyone can do something. Every day you do something that sends you in the actual direction of what you want. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it does require you to get your head out of your ass and be honest with yourself. Be honest. Okay. Stop lying. Because you lying to yourself. Now I know you lying to everybody else. Because if you can't be honest with you, you can't be honest with anybody, right? What do you want? Let's do the uncomfortable thing. Let's do that thing every day, little by little. Does that mean tears? Yes. Does that mean frustration? Yes. Does that mean locking yourself in your home from time to time because you're so toxic that you probably shouldn't come in contact with anybody? Yes. It means all of those things, and all of those things are okay. And the most important thing that I tell people is that it is okay to look in the mirror and not like what you see. What are you going to do about it? It's okay to look at yourself and realize you might not be a good person. You might have anger management issues. You might be judgmental. You might be condescending. You might be a shitty human. You don't have to stay like that. You don't have to make excuses for that. Just be like, you know what? I'm in a shitty space. I'm going to do some work so that I'm not such an asshole anymore because I want to feel better. Don't do it for the people who are calling you a dick because you know what? They don't have to live with your shit. You have to live with your shit, and they can leave. They can leave, but you got to take yourself to bed every night.
I call it the compound that's showing up every day. I call it the compound interest of life because people understand compound interest as it relates to money, but they don't think about it as it relates to life. But that seems to help some people connect the dots in their head. And to your point, that the one of my favorite things is the scene of the person waking up in these ridiculous day in the life of videos. Like, oh, so you're just waking up. That's why there's a fucking camera and lights pointed at you, huh? What the fuck are you doing? This is all fake. It's all fake. Stop it.
I'm like, when I look at those, I'm like, the sun is already up, loser. Get
up. Totally. But the compound interest of life is repeatedly doing something so you get a little bit better at it every day, just like compound interest builds up a little bit of money every day over time. And when you get far enough down the road, all of a sudden it hockey sticks on you. And
compound interest is a great idea because it's incremental.
That's right.
It's not huge.
Nope. You don't even notice it.
Right. And I never thought about that. That's very smart because when you think about compound interest, it's like a penny, $1. You know what I mean? You're not getting a windfall of $6,000 in your combat. Like, you're not getting that every single day. Sometimes 40 minutes. Right?
That's right.
That idea. That's excellent. I love that idea. Thank you. Because I'm going to use that in a speech and be like, listen, get off your ass. We are approaching this like compound interest.
You got to show up though. Like, you've got to pay the interest every day. It's not expensive, but it's just monotonous sometimes. Like, it's not fun. It's not sexy, but if it's important to you, you will do it. I would argue though, that if you tie it to something that is important to you, which is exactly what you're saying, this is exactly what you coach people on, is what is it you actually want, not what society tells you should want, not what Instagram or TikTok or your buddy or your girlfriend or whoever tells you should want. What is it you actually want? And by the way, if it's what you truly want, you'll do it and take action. Otherwise, you like the idea of it. You don't want it that bad. I call bullshit on that. You don't actually want it. Like we've talked about, our relationships. It's not an accident that I've been married to my wife for 33 years. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because over the course of 33 years, I have committed and she has committed to make the relationship important to us and genuinely care about the other person in the relationship. And it's mutual and it happens every day and it's a bunch of little shit. The example is she loves sparkling water. That's all she drinks. So we have a fridge in our house that has nothing but sparkling water in it. I fill it up. I check it a couple times a month. And when it gets low, I go buy more and I put it in there. She never has to touch it. She never has to do anything but drink it, which is what she likes. That's an easy thing for me to do to show that I care about her and that she's important to me. That's not hard. Right. It's not hard to do at all, but it's consistent.
You don't care about the sparkling water, but
I don't drink it.
That she likes the sparkling water.
That's all.
I love that. And if people thought about the relationship they have with themselves in the same way that they think about the relationship that they have with another person, then I think that they would be more likely to be more considerate about what is important for them. Not what looks good, not what feels good, but might kick you in the ass down the line, right?
Totally.
But what is
Yes.
actually necessary. Like when you said, you fill the refrigerator with sparkling water. This is like, it makes her happy. Do you care about sparkling water? No, not the point, right? It makes her happy. And it reminds me of like some of the things that my husband does just because what he really wants is peace. So he's like, all right, what do I have to do to get her to shut the fuck up? Right?
In the most loving way possible.
In the most loving way. And you do have to preface that for people who have not been in relationships as long as we have. Because
That's right.
be like, I just want peace. Okay. If I know that this little thing that I don't care about makes her happy, I'm willing to do this little thing. Do I get peace in my house? Yes, I do. Right? People who understand that even about themselves. What do I want? Right? What will get me closer to what I want? In my case, my answer is always freedom, right? I want to be free. So I have to remind myself sometimes of that goal when I find myself in situations that don't make me happy. What was your part in this? How did we get here? Right? How do we get here where you do not feel free, where you feel bound? I don't like to feel bound. I don't like to do things that I don't want to do. And I don't like to feel obligated to things that in the scheme of things, not only do not matter, but probably are detrimental in the long run. Right? And that is sometimes, dealing with a codependent person whose nature is at the end of the day probably going to be the undoing of both of us. That kind of, and I have to ask myself these questions. The thing that happens when you're a yoga teacher is that your students get very attached to you. And I didn't think that was a thing. I thought it was bullshit. But you need any proof, look at the number of gurus in the world. Whole section on boundaries with your students. The student should have a boundary with the teacher, and the teacher should have a boundary with the student. So even though I teach a very communal class where we all learn together and we fall together and we figure things out together, there is still an ethical boundary between me and my students. And the example that my teacher gave me is she said, oh, you'll be like, okay, thank you so much for coming. Everybody have a good day. Namaste. And the student will be like, but I love you. To stay. And that happens. The student will be like, no, but I love you. It's very easy. And we have to walk the line. So remember, I'm highly political, right?
Yep.
And I really strongly believe in ethics. And we are not regulated in the yoga space, which is why you see the story, and I say occasional, but I work in this space, so I know it's not that occasional, but you see the occasional story about the teacher that abused the students, or, the teacher who was having an affair with like somebody like, 15 years their junior because the student came in and fell in love with them. And this is male teachers and female teachers. Nobody's exempt.
Yep.
Because that's a space that can get a little scary if you don't have your feet on the ground because you are dealing in feelings. People come to you because they want to feel better. And you take advantage of that. You can absolutely make a killing and declare yourself a guru. You have to decide that this is not the person you want to be. You
That's
have
right.
to decide that you don't want to be a charlatan. That's you. Right? So even when I make these speeches and I say these things and I come on these podcasts and I say this, it's so important for me to also hold that line. I've had people say that to me. Oh, oh my God, you're such a guru, you're such a shaman. Don't say that. Because A, you don't know what a guru is and you don't know what a shaman is. Y'all are using these westernized versions of things that actually have history.
Yes.
And that are very important to people. And you think because we have completely colonized this way of life, we have completely colonized yoga, and we have completely colonized Ayurveda, and we haven't paid homage to the places that they come from and the people that they come from, then now we can just throw these words around. We can just say guru or shaman or holy one. Cut the shit, man.
Totally. It's one of my favorite sayings is cut the shit. I say it all the time.
Get to that point. And I'm a married woman. My husband's like, baby, like, Does anybody? Oh no, I get pups to follow me down the hall all the time. I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's wild.
it's my job to set the boundary,
Yeah.
right? My job as a teacher. That is my job as a 51-year-old married woman. That is my job as a human who has decided to be ethical. I have decided, I made a conscious choice to be an ethical human. I made a conscious choice to be free. I made a conscious choice to work with other people so that they too can be free, whatever that looks like. I don't care what it looks like, right? If I'm going to
Yep.
be that person, if that's what I want, that means that even if some opportunity, some immoral or some unethical opportunity presents itself, I have to make a choice to stick with what I said I wanted. What do you want? It always comes back to that. Who
That's
are
right.
you? Right? And you know this as a married person, as a person who owns businesses, as a person who probably moves around a lot, right? I move around a lot.
Yeah.
My husband and I sometimes we like ships in the night, right? I make a choice to not disrespect my marriage. That's a choice.
Yeah, I say it a lot. Like, you're never, and I rarely make global statements, but I'll make this one. You're never going to hear about me in a compromising situation with a woman because I simply refuse to allow myself to be anywhere near something that could become a compromising situation. And even, and we're about the same age, so there's never going to be some Three's Company scenario that got misconstrued or misunderstood, and Mr. Roper comes through the door and sees me with my arm around some woman. It'll never happen because I don't wind up in those situations because I respect my wife, I respect my marriage, and I just won't allow it to
It's
happen. And vice versa, I might add. She's exactly the same way. Like, we don't have to worry
it gets
about
to the
those
point where
things.
it's like you said, like I don't lie, right?
Yeah.
My caveat to that is I'm too old to lie. I'm not going to remember the fucking lie. I don't need this stress in my life. Right?
Exactly.
What am I lying for? I don't because then you're gonna call me on it in like 3 years, and I'll be like, did I say that? Like what?
Yeah.
Say that. So I have to, that's part of like I just need things in that realm to be simple, right? And it's like something that one of my friends said to me. I've been friends with this woman for 25 years. And she said, you know what? You're a lot of things. I mean, I could just like make a list about you, but you have never had low self-esteem. And I was like, no, and maybe that's why I stayed out of trouble as much as I have,
Right.
because I like me. And I don't want to give me up.
Yep.
You know, I like who I am. I like the skin that I'm in. I like this face. I like this body. I like this life. And so I'm not interested in giving someone, for lack of a better word, undeserving of me an
Totally.
opportunity to ruin my life. Right? So I don't do those things and I don't make those decisions because my husband wants peace and I want freedom. And because I love him and I respect that he wants peace and he loves me and he respects that I want freedom, we do not disrespect our union. I think that there's a misconception about what marriage is. Right. A lot of people will say, well, marriage is this thing or marriage is that thing. And I think the smartest thing my husband ever told me about that, he said a marriage is only as good or as bad as the people involved in it.
The two people. That's fucking A right. That's right. Yep.
That's it. That's the secret. That's the big thing. You know, people are like, what's the secret? I was like, the secret is we don't fight. Like, we disagree. We disagree. But remember, I said my husband wants peace, right? He's
Yep.
not about to, he is not about to blow up the earth. Now, I might blow up the earth. I'm really good at that, right? But he'll be like, honey, when you're done blowing up the earth, you call me because I don't want to blow up the earth because I like my peace. And he will
Yeah.
ask, do you feel better? Right? After I've
Yep.
blown up, do you feel better? And I have to be like, actually, I do kind of feel better. And he's like, okay, let's watch a
Cool.
movie.
Yeah. That's, oh
And
my gosh. It's so,
take that into our own relationship with ourselves. So we could take it into sometimes I don't feel good. Sometimes I'm being a dick. Why am I being a horrible person? Why am I being this person? What happened? What's my part in this? Why am I frustrated at the other thing? at the job, at the person, at traffic, at a situation that I can't control? Why am I blowing everything up as we speak? Speaking of a situation I can't control, and then we've been on this call for a minute, but I'm going to tell you the story because it's just relevant and it is hilarious. I spent entirely too much money on a hairdryer.
Okay. Yeah.
Too much money, right? Very expensive piece of equipment. Was supposed to do everything, but sing to me. It arrived at my house on Tuesday. I used it last night and it worked for 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Will not come back on. I let it cool off. I gave it 24 hours. It will not come back on. I was using it in a hurry because I had to teach this morning. So I didn't have time to argue with this, and I didn't have time to be mad about it. So I went to bed because I have to teach in the morning, right? Can I stay up all night and have an attitude and send the company a shitty message? Which all they're going to say is, we're so sorry. Let's exchange it. It's under warranty, and I've only had it for 2 days, right?
Right. Yeah.
That big deal. But I was, at the time, I was pissed, right?
Yes.
Okay, you being pissed off, what is that doing? You're going to lose sleep. You're going to be mad tomorrow when you shouldn't be mad tomorrow. You're going to wake up crazy. You're going to be bloated because I'm 51 and hormones mean something. So when I'm mad, I retain water and I teach yoga. So me in spandex retaining water is not cute. I'm mad. I'm uncomfortable. It's a whole thing, right? So I'm saying that to myself, you don't want to be a water balloon tomorrow. Why are you mad at this ridiculous piece of equipment that maybe you should have got a cheaper version, but that's a different conversation, right? Whatever. It worked for 20 minutes. Don't worry about it. Take your ass to bed. I went to bed, got a good night's sleep, got it this morning, plugged it up again. Does not work. Still doesn't work. It's broke. Went to class, taught my classes, ate a good meal, got on camera with you, fixed the lighting situation, got on camera with you. It is sitting right next to me. Because after I get done, I'm just going to be a dick and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this fucking thing does not work, right? While we're on the subject of being honest, damn thing came in its own gift box. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous piece of absolutely ridiculous. It was amazing for the 20 minutes that it worked. But I'm looking at it as I was talking to you. I looked over and I was like, and you got to deal with that thing. You need to get on the computer and let these people know that they sent you a lemon and they need to make it right. That could have ruined my whole day if I had allowed it to just consume me. A thing that I can't control. It's not going to make a difference. Right. Totally not going to make a difference. So the blow dryer broke down. So what? Right? Am I going to make my life miserable and by design everybody else's life miserable because of this thing that I can't control that technically I can fix with an email? When we make these decisions, when we understand the ripple effects, and we were talking earlier about shit that doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. Right. A broken blow dryer doesn't matter. What do I want? I want to be free.
Right.
So I can't let a piece of equipment take my freedom. Right? That's a thing that's outside of me. It can be rectified.
Completely, yes.
This is not going to run me. This is not going to control me. It's the little everyday inconveniences that are typically the hardest to negotiate in this grand scheme, in this super lofty grand scheme of what we think we want, right? We all think that we're supposed to levitate 10 feet off the ground and we're supposed to be esoteric, wonderful human beings, but we can be undone by a broken blow dryer.
Yeah, totally right.
What does that say? Really? About the so-called guru, right?
Yeah.
What does that say? You can absolutely be derailed by a broken blow dryer.
Oh my gosh.
Have those conversations once we're honest and once we're real about things. The other thing that I tell people is that everybody has shit.
Mm-hmm.
We all have it. Everybody.
Literally everybody.
Everyone. So if we are honest about this and we have these real conversations, not just with ourselves, but with each other, it is my opinion that we can make this world a better place. But we have to start with being honest. We have to start first by being honest with ourselves. And that does not have to be a public thing. You can do that in the privacy of your own home. You can write it down. You can cry about it. You can do whatever you need to do to be honest and decide what it is that you actually want.
You, not again, that's the most important part. You at your core, what is it you want?
Right. Not the thing that looks good or that sounds good or that you think will make you a good person in someone else's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
People do that, and there's no age limit on that, right? What we think a good person looks like. But the truth is that what is a good person? How are you a good person? How do you show up? How do you show up for you? Right? Yeah. I strongly believe that if you are a good person to yourself, you lead by example. People see that and they want to know and they ask. In my position, it's easy because I teach. So people see what's happening. They'll be like, oh, nothing bothers you. I don't like, actually, everything bothers me, but nothing gets to me. Like everything gets on my nerves at some point. I'm 51. I'm promoted, right? Something's going to irritate me, but it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
I don't hold on to it. I'm not freaking out about it. It comes and it goes. I get the occasional student that didn't use dial, right? You remember that commercial? That will annoy me because it's a hot room and that's inconsiderate, right? Yep. But then it comes and it goes. I don't know that person's life. I don't know what happened that they just decided that it was okay to like put on yesterday's clothes and come and sweat. Right? Because you might not pick it up when they first come in the room, but then we get hot. and I'm like, oh,
there it is.
Come on now. Like I smell it. I'm telling people take a deep breath in, and people don't want to take a deep breath in because they gotta smell you. Right? But if I'm being perfectly honest, every now and then that person is me. Because something went wrong and my deodorant failed. And I'm like, yeah. Right? So now I know that's me. When I learned that that's a thing, so yoga teachers don't talk about this shit. I carry a change of clothes for every class that I teach. If I am teaching 3 classes, I will bring 3 changes of clothes because what you're not going to do is call me the funky yoga teacher. That's not going to happen. I carry deodorant. I bathe in between classes. I do not mess around because there's been a couple of times where I'm like, what is that smell? And I'm like, son of a bitch. This yoga teachers go through. Yoga teachers be like, I have no idea how to deal with this thing because I'm so honest now that they know they can talk to me. They'll be like, I can't get the smell out of my throat. Like a cup of vinegar. Cup of vinegar save your life every time. Yep. Stop buying cheap spandex. Cheap spandex catches the smell, holds the smell, never gets rid of the smell. Right? When we start being honest about this stuff, it takes the stigma out. You stop being embarrassed about it. And you aspire to do better. Now
there you go.
Changes the clothes, right? I'm going to talk about my students smelling bad. I'm not going to be the teacher who smells bad.
Right? That's right.
They don't care what my story is. All they know is I walk past them and now they can't breathe. So now they're mad. The practice is screwed up, right? So when I come across that, when I come across a student who, you know, maybe didn't change their clothes or maybe didn't decide to bathe before they came in, I'm like, okay, I don't know what that person's been through. And I know that person knows that they smell. Right? If I can smell it, I know you can smell it. Right?
Yeah, you're in the middle of it, right? Exactly.
Right. It annoys me for 5 seconds and then I'm like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't hold grudges. I always tell people holding grudges is like you drinking the poison, hoping the other person will die.
One of my favorite sayings. One of my favorite sayings. Yes.
Life is literally too short. So do things annoy me? Yes. Do I let it control my life? No. And that is my version of freedom.
Yeah. I love that. So listeners, so you guys know, we got connected to Shahada because one of her students / clients actually owns a PR firm. And he was looking for podcasts for her to go on and found ours and said, oh shit, this is a perfect match. And boy, was he right, huh? Holy cow.
Now you know why. Now you know
Totally.
why. Because when we talk, I mean, sometimes he's like, "You're the only person I can say this to," because he knows it's not going to piss me off.
Yeah.
And I always tell him, "Say it out your face. What are you feeling? Say it out your face." And he'll just be like, I got to get this thing off my chest." All right, say it out your face. I mean, if you can't tell, I have a lot of boy energy.
Yeah.
I talk to boys very easily. Like, so sometimes men are like, "Listen, I got to say this thing because I'm not delicate." And
Yep.
it'll be like, I got to say this thing and I can't say it in a delicate way. And I'll take a deep breath just in case it's a little bit beyond my capacity. And I'll be
Right.
like, "All
Yeah.
right, go." Right. And they'll just go. And they usually apologize. "Don't apologize. I gave you permission to say it out your face. Say it out your face. It's fine."
Yeah. Well, and he said, like, you need to have her on because, like, she literally changed my life. My life has gotten nothing but better since I started working with her, which totally makes sense. So, on that note, where do people find Habibi stuff so let's start with that because I don't know if you offer remote coaching or working or if they need to be in the LA area to work directly with you. I know they can buy products
Mhm.
other places, but let's just talk through those things real quick.
Okay. So if you are interested in skincare, you want to go to habibibody.com. If you're interested in nutrition and fitness, you want to go to habibibodysport.com. If you want to talk to me, I do offer remote services. If you want to talk to me, it's just my name. My name is Shahada Karim. I do not play around with cute little monikers and handles. That's how you find me on the internet. You put my name in like that, first name, last name. You will get my Instagram, you will get my Facebook, you will get my TikTok. And if you put in, even if you put in Shahada Habibi, if you connect my name to the word Habibi, all of my things will come up. And all of my information is cross-referenced on every public site. So on every public site, you'll be able to click a link in my bio and you'll see everything that I offer. So there's never any confusion. I'm not a big fan of confusion. My DMs are open. You can ask me anything. If I feel like I can answer the question for you, I'll try to answer the question. If I don't think I can answer the question, then I can usually point you in the direction of someone who might be able to do better than me. But everything's super straightforward. There's nothing cute. I mean, I stopped, using cute emails a long time ago because it confuses people. So if you want
Yes.
to reach me, it's my name. Literally, just Google my name, and you have a much better chance if you Google my name and you put Habibi in it because I'm 100% associated with Habibi Body, Habibi Body Sport, and Habibi Life. You can find all of those websites. If you need to go straight through those websites, they're info at. So info at habibibody.com, info at habibibodysport.com, or info at habibilife.org. Super straightforward.
And for the listeners, we'll put all that down in the show notes so you don't have to go very far to find Shahada. I just wanted to make sure we talk through what services and or products were available to listeners so that they could check it out. So um, yeah, we got to do this again at some point down the road. I've so enjoyed
100%.
our
Yeah.
conversation and we can talk about whatever, like it doesn't matter to me, but like I love your energy and I love your straightforwardness and yeah, we'll just keep in touch and we'll do this somewhere again down the road.
Thank you. And also, thank you for letting me just be who I am because sometimes I do have to put on the yoga voice and I do have to be delicate. And just thank you for letting me be the bulldozer that I actually am.
That's the whole point of Salty Ginger Talk is this is no holds barred. We don't censor anything. We don't try to steer or direct the conversation. The value of our podcast is exposing our listeners to a lot of different people who have built really successful lives, but they've all done it in very different ways. And my way might work for me and some of our listeners, but it might not resonate with some of our listeners. Your way might resonate with some of our listeners that I can't get to. And it's the entire point. So for me to bring people on and try to stage it or frame it in a certain way, I think it's fucking stupid. The best thing to do is to bring people on, have them tell their story in their own words, in the way they choose to present it, because that's when it's going to be the most genuine, which is what resonates with their audience. And people may call you a lot of things, but they can never call you inauthentic. I'm certain of that.
The fact, and anybody who takes my class can attest to this. I mean, the way that I am on this podcast is the way that I am in the class, and it took me a long time to learn how to be okay with being that kind of teacher and be okay with not being everything to everyone. Right? Some students are not going to like my music. They're not going to like my straightforward way of speaking. They're not going to like the lessons that I am attempting to expose. And then they'll leave me. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be like, okay, no, I'm not the teacher for you. Right. It's taken a long time to bring this person who was always this person in the newsroom, because I was cultivated in fire. Right. The newsroom is just baptism by fire. They throw you in a pit and they see if you can swim. That's literally it. When I became a yoga teacher, I thought that I was supposed to change and soften, and that didn't work for me.
Mhm.
So all right, then this is the yoga teacher I am. And if you guys leave, that's cool. Right. But I will find my people. I will find the people who are looking for someone like me. And that's when I started teaching the way that I teach. Incidentally, that's when I met my friend slash client, right? Who has followed me from studio to studio. We met 3 studios ago, right? And he's been like, oh no, there's no teacher like you. Like, you're insane. And I'm here for it. And I always tell him, whatever you got, whatever you brought into this room, get it out, leave it on the floor. Leave here better than when you came in. That's my motto. I move like that. I teach like that. And if I'm for you, yay. Right. And if I'm not, that's cool too.
That's cool too. That's exactly right. That's what I love. Love the authenticity. And look, I can tell you that, politically, we probably see a lot of things very different. I don't give a shit. I love hearing what you have to say about things. That's totally cool. And like you had referenced it earlier, if someone put a picture of you and me up and said, are these two people cut from the same cloth and would they get along? You'd probably get a lot more no's than yeses, and they'd be completely fucking wrong because they prejudged without getting to know people who they are. And I absolutely love that. So really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll let you go deal with your hair dryer so you can sleep tonight.
Yes, I will go cut out Dyson.
Oh my gosh. Until next time, Shahada, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, like we talked about, Shahada is the real deal. Super authentic, super straightforward. What you see is what you get. You don't have to guess where you stand. You don't have to guess what she thinks. You don't have to guess what she's trying to get you to do, because she punches you in the face with it. And we love that. Really glad we got connected to her, and kudos to her friend slash client who got us connected. Really excited about having her back on somewhere down the road, and make sure you go check her stuff out, because if you need coaching around life, around wellness, around nutrition, around moving your body, around building a better life, you're not going to find someone better than Shahada. And really appreciate her coming on. Like we talked about there at the end, hopefully she gets her blow dryer situation taken care of, and she survives that situation, because we'd love to have her back on Salty Ginger Talk down the road, and we will. So we'll do that somewhere down the road. James puts it up right over here every day. Head over to our website, saltygingertalk.com. All the podcast episodes are there. Links to all the social media accounts are there. We have a newsletter we publish every weekday. You can subscribe to there. And please like, share, comment, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you consume it on. Super helpful for us if you're able to do that. We find awesome people. They bring you great tips, tricks, advice, ways that you can improve your life so you can take control of your life, which is the whole point of what we do on the podcast. You don't want to miss the next person, because we keep finding awesome quality people. There's a lot of them out there. We keep finding them and bringing them to you. Cost you nothing. You get world-class professional advice and concepts from people who are giving it to you for free. Make sure you check out the next episode. We will see you there.